This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, June 23rd. First up, building a revenue-driven audio marketplace for publishers. Mattia Verzella, VP of Programmatic Partnerships at Triton Digital, argues that evaluating ad revenue through CPM, or cost per mil, comparison across channels misleads publishers because each demand type serves a structurally different role. Programmatic demands provide volume and liquidity during unsold periods. Direct sales reflect advertiser commitment to content value and justify exclusivity pricing. Meanwhile, backfill is an utilization tool and should never set the benchmark for premium inventory. Using anonymized publisher data, Verzella illustrates what he calls the triangle of sadness, incredible term. Raising floor CPMs can collapse fill rates and total revenue, while incremental reductions restore both. Quote, the end goal is a healthy mix where each revenue source is judged by its strategic role, not its surface level rate. End quote. Next up, Amazon launches Creator Hub on Fire TV. Amazon is launching a dedicated Creator Hub section on Fire TV this summer, as announced at Cannes Lion, consolidating videos and podcasts from digital creators into one discoverable location on connected TVs. The hub currently features over 120 creators, including Mr. Beast, Dude Perfect, and Ben Azalart. Videos from those creators appear on Fire TV the same day they go live on YouTube. Amazon says it is targeting 500 plus creators within a year. Next up, podcast ads drive clicks, leads, and sales, new Magellan AI report finds. Magellan AI's first podcast measurement benchmark report, analyzing pixel-based attribution across Q1 2026 campaigns, found that 2.29% of unique podcast listeners visited an advertiser's website within 30 days of hearing an ad, with 9.74% of those visitors converting to leads and 5.22% completing a purchase. Video podcasts outperform audio only at every stage. Responsive rate 2.49% versus 1.39%. Lead conversion 11.27% versus 6.42%. And purchase conversion 5.65% versus 4.29%. Host-read ads led all formats at a 2.45% response rate, ahead of programmatic at 1.93% and produced spots at 1.51%. Conversions were largely front-loaded, 31% within 1 day and 58% within 7 days. Next up, U.S. Podcast Ads Report 2026. YouGov's U.S. Podcast Advertising Report for 2026, drawing on surveys of 1,300 plus media consumers and 800 plus podcast consumers between March 13th and April 1st, finds that podcast ads are simultaneously the most skipped and least annoying ad format. 52% of podcast listeners usually skip or tune out, yet only 25% rank them among the most annoying ad format. By comparison, display ads scored 50% and video platforms scored 46%. The conversion data complicates the skip rate narrative. 60% of podcast consumers have taken some action after an ad, ahead of music streaming listeners at 54%, radio listeners at 53%, and 55% of habitual skippers have converted at least once, including 14% who made a purchase. Trust in podcast advertising is 14%, behind TV's 19%, radio's 19%, but distrust is comparatively low at 38%, well below video platforms, 48%, display, 57%, and social media, 63%. On format, 40% of U.S. podcast consumers now prefer video over audio only, 28%, but both deliver comparable conversion rates. Video 60%, audio only 65%, and 35% of Americans surveyed consume podcasts in both forms. As for the final story, the new content model is cheaper, faster, and less Hollywood. Writer Kirby Grines examines how major media companies are replacing fixed studio infrastructure with faster, lower-cost systems, pointing to the BBC commissioning budget cuts of £80 million annually, a 15% reduction, and the loss of 42,000 motion picture jobs in Los Angeles between 2022 and 2024. Video podcasts are identified as central to that shift for streaming platforms, recurring audience retention infrastructure at lower production costs than scripted content, generating addressable ad inventory along the way. The analysis frames interface control, not content ownership, as the emerging competitive logic. Fox's acquisition of Roku, which now covers 100 million plus streaming households, and Disney's move to open the Simpsons IP to Fortnite creators through Epic's partner program both reflect platforms prioritizing distribution and discovery leverage over premium content production. Quote from the article, "The home screen is leverage," end quote. As for the rest of the news, Amazon's Wondery signed exclusive distribution and ad sales rights for Boardrooms, Cover Story, and Bedroom Talks, with video and audio distribution beginning early 2027 across Prime Video, Amazon Music, and Fire TV channels. This one's from Pod News. Libsyn published a podcast advertising case study showing a campaign for Domino's Pizza drove up a 15-point gain in purchase intent and a 20-point lift in brand perception for specialty pizza awareness. PRX welcomed 3 new board members, Cynthia King-Vance, Michael Kleeman, and John Kenny. Podcast Business Journal has a new profile of Vox Topica CEO Richard Fawal. Niecy Nash and her daughter Dia are launching an upcoming true crime video podcast through Pave Studios' Crime House brand, and Higher Ground Production added Expense Account to its slate, a food and lifestyle podcast produced by Emily Sundberg's Feed Me Company and hosted by food critic Jason Lee. That'll do it for today's episode of The Download. Reminder, you can find a link in your show notes that'll take you to every link I just talked about. And on soundsprofitable.com, you can subscribe to the newsletter version of the podcast to get it direct to your inbox every day. For Sounds Profitable, today's issue was written and produced by myself, Brian Marletta, Tom Webster, and Molly Demillier. I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow.